Words matter, and mine are no exception. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected. Respect everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying. People got very, very, very angry, and still are angry. I mean, I'm getting, all of the mail from folks, and the very real anger. Because people feel it's not good for anyone, and it's not good for poor folks. It is not good for y'all because you become slave fodder. It's not a good thing. It's not good for women because you are now being told and dictated to, and you can't say anything because they, throw you in a jail or whatever.
Isn't it rich that The View is saying she got the job based on looks when DEI is all about based on looks?
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
The View hosts in panic mode as $800 million lawsuit heats up. For weeks, The View laughed off Karoline Leavitt's $800 million lawsuit, mocking it, dismissing it, and calling it nothing more than a political stunt.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
But now, the laughter has stopped, and the hosts are reportedly begging her to back down. So what changed? In the beginning, the show's response was dripping with arrogance. They treated the lawsuit as a joke. Joy Behar rolled her eyes, calling it just another conservative playing the victim. Whoopi Goldberg, no stranger to controversy herself, brushed it off entirely. Please, she scoffed, this will be forgotten in a week. Even Sunny Hostin, The View's resident legal expert, spoke with total confidence. This lawsuit has no legs to stand on, she declared. It'll be tossed out immediately. But now, behind the scenes, it's a different story, and it could have major implications for ABC and the women of The View. What exactly triggered this shift? And is this lawsuit more dangerous than anyone first thought? Stay tuned. This story is developing fast.
For me, and sort of lived lives of dreams deferred and poured everything in me, and just my life, how I transitioned from college. I went to college when I was 16, high school when I was 12, the struggle of that, and my career as a federal prosecutor, and then how I found my way.
At first, the media shielded them, but that didn't last. For a brief moment, it seemed like the host's strategy of brushing off the lawsuit was working. Major media outlets, CNN, MSNBC, and others rushed to back them up, labeling the $800 million claim as laughable and without merit. Legal analysts piled on, calling the lawsuit a desperate attempt to silence free speech, a view that only reinforced The View's belief that this firestorm would burn out on its own. With the media echoing their confidence, the hosts were sure they'd weather the storm. But now, that confidence is cracking, and fast.
They really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
While the women of The View kept the jokes rolling on air, confidently dismissing the $800 million lawsuit, chaos was quietly unfolding behind the scenes at ABC. Sources say the network's legal team wasn't laughing, they were scrambling. Unlike the hosts, ABC's lawyers saw the storm coming. They knew what the public didn't. This lawsuit wasn't just noise. It was a serious threat backed by hard evidence and legal firepower. Despite the show's playful front, ABC's legal department immediately shifted into crisis mode. Internally, the tone was urgent. Karoline Leavitt's legal offensive, once brushed off as a conservative publicity stunt, was now seen as a legitimate case, armed with documents, witness statements, and detailed allegations of defamation, hostile work conditions, and intentional harm. A spokesperson from ABC's legal team made it clear, "We handle every legal matter with full seriousness and professionalism. This is no exception. And according to insiders, this case has teeth, and ABC knows it."
I have to stop you with the camera because I can see you. So do me a favor, don't pull it out again. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
okay,
as
I'm
for
sorry,
the
guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
started as laughter has now spiraled into an all-out corporate panic. Weeks ago, the women of The View brushed off Karoline Leavitt's jaw-dropping $800 million lawsuit like it was a joke, smirking, joking, and moving on. That was their strategy. But now, the same women who mocked the lawsuit are reportedly begging her to drop the case. So what flipped the script so quickly? And is ABC bracing for its biggest scandal yet? At first, the hosts treated the lawsuit like it was beneath them. Leavitt's claims were ridiculed, labeled just another conservative publicity stunt. Joy Behar rolled her eyes, calling it a victim act. Whoopi Goldberg, the show's seasoned anchor, shrugged it off, saying, "We've dealt with worse. This will be old news by next week." Sunny Hostin, the show's legal analyst, doubled down. "This won't go anywhere. There's no legal foundation for this." They were confident it would vanish like all the controversies before it. And for a while, it seemed like they were right. Mainstream outlets like CNN and MSNBC echoed the host's sentiments, dismissing the lawsuit as frivolous and labeling it a blatant attempt to muzzle free speech. Legal analysts predicted it would be tossed out immediately. The View hosts grew even more confident the case would die quietly. But inside ABC's headquarters, everything was far from calm. Behind closed doors, ABC's legal team was in full crisis mode. Unlike the show's panel, the network's attorneys weren't cracking jokes. They were sounding alarms. To them, Leavitt's lawsuit wasn't a joke. It was a real legal threat with massive implications. One insider revealed, "This is a real issue. We're treating it with full seriousness and care." And the evidence? Reportedly substantial, internal documents, eyewitness accounts, and a structured case alleging defamation, workplace toxicity, and intentional harm. This wasn't just a bad news cycle, it was a legal grenade waiting to explode. And that's when the panic set in. ABC's executives, terrified of the potential fallout, divided into two camps. One side pushed for a full-on court battle, but the other, fearing what might be exposed, advocated for a quiet settlement. Behind the scenes, the network was already moving forward, without the host's knowledge. But when the cast found out that ABC was considering a settlement, that's when all hell broke loose. Whoopi Goldberg, in particular, was furious. After weeks of mocking the lawsuit, the idea of negotiating with Karoline Leavitt felt like betrayal. The network may have just made its most high-stakes move yet. Will The View survive this scandal, or is this the beginning of the end for ABC?
Divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
Closed-door meeting. Sources say Whoopi Goldberg exploded. Are you serious? We're actually taking her seriously now. To Whoopi, this was personal. After surviving countless controversies, the idea that ABC was ready to cave to Karoline Leavitt's $800 million lawsuit was beyond infuriating. And Whoopi wasn't the only one shaken. Joy Behar wasn't having it either. She stormed into her dressing room, slammed her makeup kit down, and raged. "We built this show. We made this network money, and now they're folding over some dumb lawsuit?" She was ready to fight to the bitter end. Even Sunny Hostin, who typically keeps a level head, was visibly rattled. As a former prosecutor, she understood the stakes. She'd seen the court documents, she knew the evidence, and most chilling of all, she realized that everyone on the panel could be dragged into that courtroom. Every word they'd ever said, on and off air, could come back to haunt them. This wasn't just a legal issue. It was now a full-blown PR crisis. Then came the moment no one expected. On live television, The View suddenly shifted gears dramatically. Gone were the jokes, gone was the sarcasm. Whoopi opened the segment somberly, shaking her head. I think We all need to take a breath. There's been too much hostility. This isn't helping anyone. It was clear. The flip-flop was in full motion. Joy, who'd once laughed off the lawsuit, now asked, why does this have to go so far? Can't we just sit down and talk this out? Sonny, she turned to the camera, speaking carefully. Karoline, if you're watching, there may be a better way to resolve this without dragging it through court. Maybe it's time to find common ground. One of the most stunning reversals in modern television was unfolding. The same women who mocked Karoline Leavitt just weeks ago were now pleading for peace. But let's be real, this wasn't about unity. This was about self-preservation. Sources say ABC's legal team had warned the hosts. If this case moves forward, everything is at risk. Everything. Internal emails, call logs, private conversations, they could all be exposed in court. And once the show went live, the backlash was immediate. Viewers weren't buying the sudden tone shift. For weeks, they'd watched as the hosts laughed at Leavitt's lawsuit. Now, they wanted mercy. Social media exploded. Thousands flooded the View's official pages with backlash. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. If you weren't guilty, you wouldn't be begging. The memes flooded in. One showed Whoopi looking panicked next to a screenshot of her mocking the lawsuit just days earlier. Another had Joy Behar stumbling through her apology with the caption, when the check's on the line. Conservative outlets wasted no time. Fox News aired segments blasting the hosts' flip-flop. The Daily Wire published scathing critiques of their hypocrisy. Independent YouTubers were calling it the worst damage control in recent memory. By the time the apology aired, the damage was done. Ratings tanked. Advertisers began backing out. And inside ABC, the reality hit hard. This lawsuit had gone from manageable to disastrous. If Leavitt pushes forward, and this thing actually goes to trial, the View could be torn wide open, careers could end, reputations shattered, and here's the kicker, Karoline Leavitt isn't backing down. The more the View pleads, the stronger she looks. The same show that once laughed her off is now unraveling at the seams. This isn't just any lawsuit. This might be the scandal that brings the View to its knees. So, what do you think? Will the View survive this, or is Karoline Leavitt on the brink of scoring the most shocking win in daytime TV history? Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breaking updates as this story continues to unfold.